Hey guys, what's up? It's iFlynn here. Today we're going to be taking a look at the new Grineer secondary weapon called the Stubba. I don't really like this weapon too much. I just didn't enjoy leveling it for whatever reason. You compare this weapon, how it fires, to something like the Axe Stiletto, the Axe Amati, anything in the secondary category that's fully automatic, and this thing falls so short because it has like relatively low damage. Its crit chance isn't as high as something like the Axe Stilettos or the Axe Amatis. The status is fairly low as well. But that doesn't mean that it's a bad weapon. Like, it can still get the job done. It can still kill level 150 enemies, but there's better weapons out there for doing said thing, right? Especially in the secondary category. So in comparison to other weapons, this weapon is pretty bad, but if you take it for what it is, it's decent. It's all right. You can make it work. So just to kind of give you guys like an idea, it has 57 rounds in a magazine, and it has I would say a moderate fire rate, fully automatic, and this is the firing for it. So you have a nice little bit of kick right there, so you have to compensate for a little bit of recoil, and the accuracy also isn't that good in my opinion, so it kind of just goes all over the place. But keep in mind, you're firing like 3 bullets at a time on a consistent basis because you have Borrow the Fusion and Lethal Torrent on, so you're shooting 3 bullets. It's all right. It's not the best weapon in the game at all. It hasn't got the best recoil, it hasn't got the best accuracy, but, it's cool, right? So let's just go ahead and we'll take a look at the default skin for it, because right now I have a Nusku pistol skin. No idea where I got that from, but I just thought it looked a lot better than the default that came with this. So this is the default. You can get this weapon from doing bounties, which includes the new ghoul enemies on Cetus. I'm pretty sure that's how you get it. Maybe it doesn't need to have the ghouls, but, just go to the bounties, go to, I forget the guy's name, is it Onzo? Go to him and then talk to him. See if this weapon blueprint drops as a reward, and then craft it in your foundry, and then there you go. It's a cool weapon, but I would say it's more made for newer players. Like, it's a good weapon. It's a nice middle ground. It's made for newer players to pick up once they hit like Master Rank 5. They go to Cetus and they do a few bounties for the first time. If they happen to get this, then it's pretty decent, right? So let's just go ahead and take a look at the build that I'm currently running. So if we go ahead and go to config B, we can see the stats with no mods on. So at base, we have an accuracy of 16, crit chance of 21%, critical multiplier of 1.9, fire rate of 6.33, magazine size of 57. Obviously, it's alarming. We have reload speed of 1.3. Status of 13%, fully automatic, impact damage is 14.2, puncture damage being 3.3, and then slash 15.5. So it's predominantly slash. And then whenever we throw all of our mods on, we can see the increase in damage, and the numbers get a little bit more appealing here. So we have a crit chance of 60%, crit multiplier 4 times, fire rate of 10.13. We have a status chance of 32.3. The impact is increased to 126.4. Puncture is 29.4. Slash is 138.2. And then corrosive totals out at 529.2 as well. So, pretty good build, at least in my opinion. So you're building it around crit. So you throw on Hornet Strike for your base damage increase, Borrow the Fusion for your multi-shot, Lethal Torrent on top of that for more multi-shot and more fire rate, so we get more DPS. And then we move on to our crit. So we have Prime Pistol Gambit for 187% extra crit chance, and then Prime Target Cracker for an extra 110% crit damage. Now keep in mind, if you're a newer player and you're using the non-prime versions of these mods, this weapon is going to be a lot worse. So let's just go ahead and throw on the regular Pistol Gambit and then the regular Target Cracker, and you guys can see the results that you would be getting. So it goes from 60.3% down to 46.2, and then the crit multiplier drops from 4 times to 3 times, and that's actually a pretty big difference. So if you can get your hands on the prime versions of these mods, I 110% recommend it. But once you have these mods on, you want to move on to your elemental combo, and you build your elemental combo based around whichever enemy it is that you're having trouble killing. So in our case, we're going to be killing a level 150 heavy gunner because it has a decent amount of armor. And it's just like it's a threatening enemy that you want to kill very fast because they can kill you very fast. Same with the bombards. We'll do both, but we have Convulsion and Baptism rounds to make corrosive damage, which is going to give us a 75% increase to our damage versus those heavy gunners, right? On top of that, I like to throw on hydraulic crosshairs. This is a mod that you get from killing one of the acolytes. And basically what this does, whenever you land a headshot, you're going to have 135% extra crit chance while you're aiming for 9 seconds. So if you're using this weapon correctly and you're getting those headshots, you're crowd controlling enemies, getting the headshots to sort of optimize your damage, then this will be a great increase to your damage. Now keep in mind, this is in like ideal scenarios where you are landing those headshots on consistent basis. So just keep that in mind whenever you're modding this weapon. If you don't have hydraulic crosshairs, what you can do is you can actually make one elemental combo and then have one single element, or you can stack up on whichever element is or elemental combo that you're crafting. So like, let's say for example, I wanted to just get more corrosive damage, right? I would throw on pistol pestilence in between here, and then I have more corrosive damage and more status chance. It's pretty beneficial. Or you can get another percentage increase to your damage by throwing on another element. So for example, heavy gunners are also weak to fire damage. So they get, or they take 25% extra damage from fire damage. So you want to go ahead and throw that on your build as well. And that's going to increase your total damage. So any of those are viable options. If you have the prime version of heated charge and you don't have hydraulic crosshairs, by all means go ahead and throw that on. That's going to increase your DPS as well. But the build that I like running is the one with the hydraulic crosshairs, because in my opinion it just makes sense to have that higher crit chance, so we're getting more and higher sustained DPS, right? So let's just go ahead and test this build out versus the level 150 heavy gunner. So let's just go ahead and spawn him in. Here we go. Right, now we go to settings, make him level 150. Gonna make myself invincible like so, and then we're gonna jump down and we're gonna be shooting him in the head. Now keep in mind, like I said beforehand, this is like ideal scenario, right? So, you know, you're not going to consistently be hitting headshots, and for some reason the heavy gunner wants to ignore me. You're not going to be consistently hitting headshots all the time. So, you know, it might be a little bit difficult to sort of like replicate this, you know, in a like ideal environment, or like in a game environment is what I meant to say. But realistically, like, you'd never be going up against a level 150 heavy gunner in the real game environment, so it's whatever. But let's just go ahead and take a look at the damage here and see how well we do. So, you know, you see as we keep on firing at him, our damage is going up. We're also proccing a decent amount of slash and stuff like that. So he dies relatively quickly, but whenever you compare this weapon to something like the Stiletto or to something like the Aximati, or of course the Stiletto Prime, this weapon falls very short. Like, it's a decent weapon for what it is, but I just didn't enjoy using this. This weapon ran out of ammo on me more often than not whenever I was just leveling it on Hydron. I was just jumping around as Speed Nova and just firing at the enemies, and it took me a very long time to kill, you know, enemies like the Nox, or, you know, just bombards in general, because it wasn't taking them down unless I had a full build on it. And whenever you're leveling, then, you know, obviously you can't fit your full build on, so it kind of just tends to be bad. But, you know, you compare this weapon to literally any other fully automatic secondary weapon, like the Aximati, the Stiletto, the Twin Gurkatas, they just blow this weapon out of the water. And I can't realistically recommend throwing 6 Forma onto this weapon, simply because, like, one, it's got that really high recoil. Like, I say really high recoil, but it's like unpredictable. It's really hard to control. You have to be hitting those consistent headshots, and it just, I don't know, I can't really recommend it. What I would say is, like, you know, maybe if you're a newer player, you could use this here if you just pick up Mesa, because, like, it's relatively easy to build. So what you do is you just, like, do your, you know, your elemental combo, and then throw on, you know, your primed heated charge or your regular heated charge, and then you can use that with Mesa for your Peacemaker, and then that would make sense. But there's also other weapons out there, like the Pandero, which, you know, do the exact same thing and are better at killing enemies, right? So let's just go ahead and take a look at the damage with, you know, no hydraulic crosshairs on, so we're getting those fire procs and stuff like that, corrosive procs, etc., etc. Our damage numbers aren't as high, and we kill them in relatively more or less the same amount of time, right? So let's just put the final bullet in him there. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't really like this weapon. I don't recommend it. I think it's not fun to play with, at least in my opinion. But I would say, like, this is going to sound very strange because I mentioned this in my last video, but this skin on this weapon, for some reason, reminds me of the Hyperion pistols from the Borderlands series, like the Fibber. No idea why. Like, if you reloaded this thing from the top, like, with this skin on, it would, you know, be very, very samey to the Hyperion pistols from the Borderlands series. That's just me, though. Maybe you guys have different opinions, but yeah, this is the Stubba. I don't know if I really like it or not. I would use it with like a frame like Haro, for example, where I can chain enemies down and kind of hold them in the one spot, get those consistent headshots off, and do my thing that way. So if I just go ahead, throw on hydraulic crosshairs yet again for like a second time, and then, you know, just kind of show you how I would ideally use this weapon. So what I'd do is I would bring it out, and then I would use my Covenants, absorb all the damage. This is going to give me more crit chance because this enemy is going to be damaging me, and so on and so forth. And then I'm going to chain him up, press my 2, and now he's completely still, so I can just headshot this guy all day, every day, and then deal, you know, a buttload of damage to him. It's good in that sense, but that's because you're using Warframe abilities to make it a lot stronger, which, I mean, you're going to be doing in general gameplay anyway. But like I said, Axe Stilettos, Aximati, Twin Gurkatas. Let's take the Twin Gurkatas for example. We're running more or less the exact same build right here. And then we do the exact same thing. This guy is going to die a hell of a lot faster. So we do the exact same thing. Well, actually, no, let's just chain him up and get our consistent headshots. And this guy is just going to like lose all of his health in more or less no time. So there you go. He's done for. Level 150, dead in no time. So really the fire rate helps you out there, and the fact that, you know, you're shooting so fast, it's like DPS wise, it's insane. And then we can do this thing as well, make it even stronger. So let's just wait for this to run out. Waiting, chain him up, press R2, and then you know, lay into him again, and he dies like 10 times faster. So, you know, you're better off investing into a crit weapon like the Twin Gurkatas, Axe Stilettos, Aximatis. Like, even some of those you can do hybrid, like on the Axe Stiletto Prime, you could do a hybrid build, strip armor away and stuff like that. You could probably even do that on the Stubba if you really wanted to, but honestly, I don't know. I can't recommend putting 6 Forma onto this weapon, so I don't know. Like, you can do what you want with it. Has a decent status chance. If you really want to, you can, you know, like I said, you run Jolt and Pistol Pestilence to bump up the status chance and, you know, use it this way. So let's go ahead, simulate him again. Use our 1, and then shoot him in the head, strip all the armor. You see that we're dealing like, you know, considerably less damage in terms of like the number, but we're killing him a lot faster because we're stripping his armor away, right? So that's something to keep in mind. But if the enemy's armor is completely stripped, you want to be using those 90% elemental mods, because it just makes more sense to sort of like, you know, deal higher numbers of damage in the situation where you don't have to go through enemy armor, right? So you can kill him pretty fast, but you can kill him faster with Twin Gurkata, Axe Stiletto, Aximati, etc., because they're just better weapons. So yeah, other than that, this is the Stubba. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead, hit like. If you want to see more Warframe content from me, hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.